everyone, I've got something a little bit different for you this week. I don't know if you've seen the desktop operating system stuff that I've been working on with a few other contributors in the Fine community. It's called FydeSk at the moment. It's been a really great example about what Fine can do if you give it a complex task of managing the entire desktop. What you can see on screen is all part of that toolkit. The launcher here, where I can open files, the app launcher on the left, and this widget bar on the right hand side. And it looks largely similar to how it would have done if you tried it out recently, but what we have done just recently is replaced the compositor, that is the graphical system that controls how windows are combined, into a new entirely Fine based system. It was previously using some really low-level X11 calls to manage which windows are displayed and a lot of C code, which made it hard to maintain and also made it very specific to X11. And over time, we're going to need to migrate to different technologies. And if that doesn't mean anything, don't worry at all. How good it looks is the thing that I'm hoping will stick with you today. So if I open a window, perhaps this terminal here, FyneTerm, we can drag it around really smoothly, which sort of you'd expect, but actually when you've got lots of windows on a screen, that could be difficult. But now it will always be that smooth. When we move, it is just an image captured of what the window looked like before it started moving, and then we drag it around using a Fine layout, a container without layout in fact, moving that image to the right position. And because it's all set up in Fine image space with objects stacked on top of each other, we can do things like changing the order. So the panel, instead of being drawn on the bottom because it was part of the desktop window, is now slightly higher up. So you see how I can move the window underneath that semi-transparent panel. I understand that might not be hugely exciting if you're used to this on different systems, but sometimes actually implementing what we've got used to could be surprisingly difficult, and doing so efficiently even more so. But this is now a much slicker system where we've got minimal graphical changes going on when simple things like dragging a window around are what you're doing. So actually just that one change looks pretty good. And of course it is definitely helped by some wallpaper from Digital Blasphemy. If you haven't checked out their graphics, do have a look. But now I'm going to open some more windows. Let's have a calculator here as well. And actually another terminal window. So we've got 3 or 4 windows because we have a virtual desktop system. So not everything that you have running is in the same space. This is my desktop 1. You can see it previewed over here. And I can now switch between them really fast. So if I tap to 4, you'll see a lot of stuff fly past really quickly. Because again, we're just moving existing images around in a canvas, which is much, much quicker than actually having those windows more physically or literally moving around inside the screen. Nothing has changed. We're just changing the position that it's shown when it's being displayed to the user. A much lighter change. You can see also the transparency has started to shine through for the windows because I've set it to be not opaque unless you're the top window. This allows us to do some other nice things like overlays. So previously the account menu, like this one here, was a window, which could be quite slow to show depending on your system setup. And this application overlay is now appearing absolutely instantly, like the app switcher will do as well. And just to show off this really nice graphical tweaks a little bit more, I've upgraded to the latest Fine in development testing, which has blur as well. Now combine that with a cool new module that I've added to the desktop called large type. We can show a few really nice things coming together. So if I was to launch large type Fine rocks, then it's printing that in large text. That part, yeah, okay, maybe you've seen that before, but look very carefully at the background. We've applied a semi-transparent grey overlay, but also the blur has been put in there too. So the background isn't just a little bit duller, but it's actually fuzzed a little bit so that your eye is drawn to the text on the overlay. Now that I think is pretty cool, and you'll start to see blur used a lot more in the desktop. There's a lot more to come in this space, Not least to say that we're going through some rebranding and updating the websites as well. So this desktop, the Fine desktop, has been part of FyshOS, which is a Linux distribution with all Fine applications running on top of it. And that's getting a bit of a rebrand, or at least an update through the website. But as part of that, we're looking to change the desktop name to Tide. You can see that if you go to the website that has just been updated at fyshos.com/desktop. We're working on the new branding, Tide, the desktop for FyshOS. As part of this, you can expect to see a lot of improvements in usability and the design space, so that not only does it really reflect the graphical capabilities of the system, but it's easier to use than ever. This includes slicker login managers. You can see what we have so far with Fin, but also app management, system configuration, all the things that can become a little bit more complicated as features get added. We're trying to really focus in on the essentials so you have a great user experience on the entire system. Hopefully that sounds quite interesting, and you can see the power of what's coming with some of the improved graphical capabilities with Fine. Check out the project at fyshos.com, but also keep an eye for the latest Fine releases. There's a lot to come this year. And while you're online, do check out my blog at andy.xyz or my YouTube archive. But of course, consider sponsoring this work on Patreon. You can help influence what we work on, what videos are recorded, and you can get some of those adorable stickers that have been displayed. And lastly, do check out apptricks.ai, where we're helping anybody build applications more easily than ever before. And that has a build integrated into FyshOS as well. So people who don't know how to build their apps don't have to know. They can just download the operating system, see what's there, and start their own creating or adapting right away. You can see examples of this in my video archive and also on my blog. So do check it all out, and I will see you here next time.